still gets around. It is a kind of over-reliance on the bootstrap philosophy. And there are those who still feel that if the Negro is to rise out of poverty, if the Negro is to rise out of slum conditions, if he is to rise out of discrimination and segregation, he must do it all by himself. And so they say the Negro must lift himself by his own bootstraps. They never stop to realize that no other ethnic group has been a slave on American soil. The people who say this never stop to realize that the nation made the black man's color a stigma. But beyond this, they never stop to realize the debt that they owe a people who were kept in slavery 244 years. In 1863, the Negro was told that he was free as a result of the Emancipation Proclamation being signed by Abraham Lincoln. But he was not given any land to make that freedom meaningful. It was something like keeping a person in prison for a number of years and suddenly discovering that that person is not guilty of the crime for which he was convicted. And you just go up to him and say, now you're free. But you don't give him any bus fare to get to town. You don't give him any money to get some clothes to put on his back or to get on his feet again in life. Every code of jurisprudence would rise up against this. And yet this is the very thing that our nation did to the black man. It simply said you're free, and it left him there penniless, illiterate, not knowing what to do. And the irony of it all is that at the same time that the nation failed to do anything for the black man, through an act of Congress, it was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did it give the land, it built land-grant colleges to teach them how to farm. Not only that, it provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, as the years unfolded, it provided low interest rates so that they could mechanize our farms. And to this day, thousands of these very persons are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies every year not to farm. And these are so often the very people who tell Negroes that they must lift themselves by their own bootstraps. It's all right to tell a man to lift himself by his own bootstraps, but it is a cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. We must come to see that the roots of racism are very deep in our country. And there must be something positive and massive in order to get rid of all of the effects of racism and the tragedies of racial injustice.
Everybody, we are here in the beautiful gym located inside of the Family Life Center, Inc., and I am here with the queen, okay? The queen, a consultant with the Family Life Center, Inc., Miss Pat Madison, and she is going to give you guys a rundown of all the things we have going on here in this amazing facility. Up first, we have the Fine Arts Music Academy. Miss Pat, what is that?
So Yolanda Green is the director of the Fine Arts Music Program, and we offer music lessons in piano, violin, and voice for adults and children.
And it doesn't stop there. Speaking about music, there are going to be some ballroom dance classes.
Yes, I'm excited about that because the Buckners,
But you want to dance now.
the Buckners are personal friends of mine, and so they have agreed to come back and do the classes again. So those are going to be coming up in February. We wanted everybody to have some dance moves for those Valentine dances and such. So those are coming back in February.
That is amazing. And so is there a cost to this?
No, the ballroom dance classes are free. So what you will notice is with the Family Life Center, we want to give people a reason to choose the Family Life Center. We want to be the one-stop shop for community service.
One-stop shop. I said chop because we're heading next. Information about karate classes going on here at Family Life Center Inc. Talk about that.
Yes, William Burrs with Tolone's Karate School. He's been teaching classes over here ever since I can remember. So now we just want to put more emphasis on it, get more students in there. We know that there are some kids and adults that are interested in taking karate. It's a great way of fitness. So we want to introduce or reintroduce to some of the congregation and members in our community that is offered here as well.
All right, and you mentioned basketball, and of course, we're in the gym, so we've got to talk about basketball.
That is going to be our kids' league this year, and because we have so many children that may not make the school team, may not make an AAU team, but still want to play basketball, we want to provide a platform for them to be able to play. So you can bring your youth aged 5 to 13 over to the Family Life Center, sign them up. It's $30. They get a t-shirt and a trophy at the end.
Love that. And speaking of activity, everyone has their fitness goals for the new year and Workout Wednesday?
Yes, we got Workout Wednesday, and the great thing about Workout Wednesday is it is a community-wide event, and it is FREE.
So free 99. It is
free 99. Absolutely free. Well, because it's important. Sometimes we have to think of ways that we can get people in the door, even if they're not members. So while we are a membership-driven organization, we want the community to see what's taking place. So we want to give them the opportunity to come and see that without charging them.
Wow. Choose the Family Life Center. Miss Pat, thank you so much. Can you make a shot for us before we go?
Me?
St. Stephen Baptist Church presents The Young and the Restless, Black Youth and the Struggle for Racial Justice, in collaboration with Actors Theater of Louisville. During this series, Pastor Cosby will walk us through historic moments in civil rights history, Birmingham and the Children's Campaign.
We were told in some of the mass meetings that a day would come when we could really do something about all of these inequities that we were experiencing. And we were calling it D-Day. And that was May 2nd, 1963.
Emmett Till, Truth or Consequences.
I believe that the whole United States is mourning with me. And if the death of my son can mean something to the other unfortunate people all over the world, then for him to have died a hero would mean more to me than for him just to have died.
Little Rock 9, Too Much Schooling, Too Little Education.
None of us of the 9 anticipated that the resistance would be as strong as it was. The local newspaper, the Arkansas Gazette at that time, indicated that the Brown decision was going to change the face of the South forever. I remember those words.
And the sit-ins among the shut out.
On this sit-in, we had about 130 kids. I think on this day, many of us didn't realize just how important our movement would grow to be.
The Black History Month Sermon Series, The Young and the Restless. Bring your children. Invite all children to this powerful history lesson. Hey, St. Stephen Church family. Here are your church announcements. It's Bag Weekend, and we want to send a special shout out to all of our guests, and also a special high five to all of our inviters. MLK Day is just about here, and Simmons College of Kentucky wants to invite you to its first Pastors Classic. The men's basketball team will be going head-to-head with Boyce Bible College. But also on this day of service, we will be honoring some giants of the faith for their service to our community. Reverend E.E. Hurd, Reverend D.L. Motley, Bishop Walter Jones, and Reverend Jeffrey Ellis. Tip-off begins at 4 p.m., and these mighty men will be honored following the game. Vision Night is almost here. Come on out and hear our pastor's strategic plan for the coming year. Vision Night for Louisville and Southern Indiana will be on Wednesday, January 29th at 6:30 p.m. on the Louisville campus. Do you love your church home? Are you actively involved? Well, if not, this is a wonderful opportunity to figure out which ministry best suits you. Come on out to our ministry mall, January 25th and 6th, and 28th and 29th on all of our campuses. It's time to be counted in the number. St. Stephen Church will be conducting its 2020 census. Stop by the census table and complete your information. January 25th through the 26th and 28th through the 29th. Before we get out of here, we want to send a very special congratulations to Minister Geneva Nelson for being featured in an article in the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship magazine, which talked about how St. Stephen broke a church record with more than 4,000 in Sunday school for Pastor Cosby's anniversary. Minister Nelson, we appreciate you for all that you do. Hey, don't forget to check us out on Facebook. Give us a like to stay in the know of what's going on here at the Stephen. Also follow us on Twitter, and don't forget to download our app in the App Store. Now let's continue with worship. Be blessed.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's Hump Day.
Woo-hoo!
Today is Hump Day, and that means we have a great lesson for our Wednesday Bible study. So, got your Bible, get your lesson, get your pen, get your pencil, your highlighter. You know, this month we have been talking about it all belongs to God. The first lesson, we talked about stewardship, ownership. Second lesson, we talked about digging out of debt. Last week, and I'm going to come back to it again, we talked about, are you living to eat or eating to live? And we talked about the Daniel fast. Well, this week, this week's lesson is off the chain. Set your house in order. Now, Psalms 100, verse 3 said, know that the Lord, He is God. It is He who has made us and not we ourselves. Therefore, we are stewards of Him. We are His stewards, and our body belongs to Him, and our life belongs to Him. So, we need to set our house in order. We have with us today a very special guest, Marty Robinson, who is with Hospice, and she is the community outreach coordinator, and she is going to give us some valuable information, news that you can use, because see, many times we, talking about our culture now, we don't believe, you know, we get a little insurance maybe or something, but we don't want to talk about the end time. You die, okay. But we need, since we know, because it's right there in your lesson, the latest statistic shows that every
One out of one.
I see she knows it too. Every 1 out of 1, you're gonna die. Now, before we ask Marty to talk to us about hospice, listen to this. Isaiah 38, verse 1 through 5 says, in those days, Hezekiah became sick and was at the point of death. Okay? And Isaiah, the prophet, the son of Amos, Hezekiah became sick and was at the point of death. And Isaiah, the prophet, the son of Amos, came to him and said to him, thus said the Lord. Now I'm talking to you all out there. Thus said the Lord, set your house in order, or you shall die. You shall not recover. See, then Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed to the Lord. And you see, that's it. That we love this part. And said, please, O Lord, remember how I have walked before you in faithfulness and with the whole heart and done what is good in your sight. And Hezekiah wept bitterly. See, now, and we love that part. Then the word of the Lord came to Isaiah. Go and tell Hezekiah, thus said the Lord, the God of David your father, I have heard your prayers. I have seen your tears. Behold, I will add 15 years to your life. And oh, we stop right there.
Yes.
We stop right there. We love that. We get to, oh, yeah, and we shout. But what we forget, he added 15 years. In 15 years, he's going to die. So, our lesson is, we're going to set our house in order. And for you to set your house in order, we got some stuff that we want to share with you. And the first thing, we're going to start at the end because, see, my guest here is Sister Marty Robinson. She's got to get back to work. But I want her to tell us about hospice. Now, first of all, Marty, make it clear to us the difference between, or if there is a difference, between hospice and hospice, if I'm getting that thing right.
Hospice and hospice.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, take it away, girl.
So hospice care is the type of medical care that we provide. It's end-of-life care, and there are hospice all over the country. This particular company, Hospice Health, is a hospice, but that's just our name, our company name,
Okay.
Hospice.
Okay. So that's the company name, Hospice.
Yes, Hospice
Now,
Health.
Hospice Health. You deal with end of life.
Yes, we do.
Why is it, do you find that we, as a people, as a culture, have problems dealing with coming to hospice? Is it because we feel like, okay, if I go there, it's over, it's done?
Well, I'm not quite sure why we have such a problem, but what I know for sure is that I go all over the community and speak, and I often speak at churches and community centers, and I find it odd that as a people, as Christians, as Baptists, we love talk about heaven. But no one plans to die, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to happen. Maybe you could shed some light on that.
I'm going to be like Elijah. I'm going to let a whirlwind just take me up.
I think that's what most people think.
Okay.
I think that's what they think. But the truth is that we know that we're all going to die. It's not a pleasant conversation or thought, but just like birth, we need to be prepared for that. We have 9 months to prepare for the coming of a child, and we go out of our way to make sure that every T is crossed and every I is dotted, and that's a joyful time. But we have our lives, our whole lives, knowing that we're going to come to an end of it. And yet we never stop to make preparation for that. We never stop to consider what we want the end of our lives to be like. And there are options, just like what you'll name your child or what school they'll go to. It's, there are so many things that we need to consider.
Such as,
do I want to be buried? Do I want to be cremated?
ooh,
Such as, who will take care of my affairs? Is it the oldest daughter, or is it the daughter that's most responsible? There are, and every family is unique, so the questions would be different. But what we know for sure is that there is such a strain on the family when those decisions have to be made under the conditions of you've just lost your loved one and siblings are possibly fighting.
yeah.
It's just an uncertain time and a sorrowful time to have to make those types of decisions. So we encourage people, really to get that done long before they're ill.
So do you help? You encourage, but how do you help?
Well, we help in lots of ways. If they are hospice patients, one of the first things we do is our social workers will go in and they will talk to them about what their desires are for end of life, what funeral home arrangements need to be made, those types of things. So we try to assist with end of life questions, at that point. But today I brought over the Conversation Starter Kit. This is a national project that is going on in our country. There was a study done and it was shown that not enough of Americans, not just our culture, but all over, people are afraid of death. They don't want to talk about it and they don't prepare for it.
Okay.
So this particular project, and there is a wonderful documentary that Diane Sawyer did. You can Google it and watch it probably on YouTube. But she talks about, this talks about just the staggering statistics that of people not planning for their death and planning for their families. So just to share a few of these with you, 90% of people say that talking with their loved one about end of life care is important. 90%
feel that that's important.
But only 27% have actually done it.
I'm in the 90% that think it, but I'm in that 73% that just haven't actually done it.
Hasn't done
I
it.
believe it, that it should be, but
Yes.
I'm in the,
So, when I talk to people, when I'm out at presentations and having talks, I ask them that question, and I'm amazed at how many people actually say to me, well, yes, my mom has done it. She's laid everything out, got it in a lockbox. Who has the combination? Who has the key? And nobody can answer that question.
Ooh.
So sometimes we need to think it all the way through and not just get it done, but actually give it to someone to take care of it for you.
well, look at that. 82% of people say it's important to put their wishes in writing, but only
23% have actually done it.
Oh, what about you out there? Have you done it? See, this is good stuff. I'm telling you, if you're eating, stop eating your lunch and listen to this information that she's giving you, because it is important. One conversation, it says right here, one conversation can make all of the difference. And I heard you say, 9 months, we got 9 months to get ready for the baby to be born. Mm-hmm. But sisters and brothers, you got a lifetime to prepare because you're going to die.
That is true. This is not an easy conversation
No,
to have, though. And that's why this book, it's a wonderful book, and it can actually be downloaded. If you will go to the Conversation Pack project, you can get this information. But it's sort of a guideline for questions that you would want to ask your family, things to think about before even having that conversation.
Give me a for instance.
Well, this one is good right here. What do you need to think about before you feel ready to have this conversation? What are some of the things? Possibly where you should have it or when you should have it.
Who should be there?
Who should be there? What should we talk about? Should we keep it light or go right into it?
Ooh.
I think about that documentary I was speaking of with Diane Sawyer, and what she did was she was interviewing a family, and the father was celebrating, I believe it was his 87th birthday, and all of the family was there. But they thought that would be a good time to talk about getting, in writing what his wishes were for the end of his life. I personally would probably feel like, you don't have to go there today, but
no.
But
say happy birthday to me now. Let's talk about that. What? No.
Happy 87th birthday to you.
Now let's get ready, because you may not make 88.
Exactly. But
no, it's not gonna happen.
But it was a time when all of their family would be in town.
Yeah, I got
so
that part.
He had all of his children, his adult grandchildren were there, and it was really a remarkable thing because he had thought about, like a lot of us have done. He had thought about how he wanted his end of life to be. He had thought about what he wanted, and he shared that with his children. And basically what he was saying is that, hey, I've lived my life. I have done what I wanted to do. I found so much joy in my life. And the first thing I want you to know is if I go tomorrow, I'm happy. That was a relief to his family, because a lot of times that's where the stress lies. You wouldn't believe how many patients that we talk to when they come to hospice, and we ask them, what are some of your concerns and what's your anxiety about? And they'll tell us, it's not, yes, I know I'm dying. Sure, I have some fear, but my family, that's my greatest concern. How they're dealing with this, how they're able to cope and move forward. So you could see the relief that the daughter got when he said that, and the camera fell on some of the grandchildren, and then they began to talk about their end of life, because unfortunately what we know for sure is that death comes for all ages. We don't have to make 87,
and certainly in this day and age,
to die. So the grandson began, who looked to be about 22, 23, he began to talk about what his concerns were, and he began to, I guess his comfort with speaking opened it up for others to join in. So it was really a good talk for them.
Okay. See, you made me think of this conversation.
Yes.
You should set the time. Who's going to be there? Should you have your questions kind of in mind that you are, any information that I need to be ready to tell you where my insurance policy is?
Yes. And so some of the things that you can do this in two parts. You can bring it to your family's attention, and you can use this booklet and maybe download copies or call Hospice Health, and we have copies to share about what you're trying to accomplish, and so that people are able to sit and think about it and put it in here, and then maybe come back.
Okay.
Maybe come back, and now everyone has prepared they've gotten answers to those questions.
Okay.
When I did it with my family, I got a call later from my brother, and he had already prepared it, gave it to me, all the information. And so, you know, I won't say should, I'll say when something happens to him,
You know what to do.
I know what to do for
And you
him.
know what he wants.
Yes.
Okay. Now, she have said that you can download this book. So is this www.theconversationproject.org?
That is it.
Okay. www.theconversationproject.org. All of us run together, low caps. You should get this. Now, here's some, because here it is. As a patient, I like to know, and you can put it on the scale, on the basis about my condition and my treatment. You can say, I want my family, I want to know all my conditions, and I want to know all about my treatment. Some of us don't want to know all of that.
Some people don't.
And some people like, and see, I may be one of the ones that say, I don't want to know all that, and then I may be one of the ones that say, tell me everything.
Sure. That's the same with medication. So as you near end of life, you may have a lot of pain or discomfort, and some of the medications can keep you comfortable, but you're not able to communicate, and you know, a lot of people have a problem with that. So some people choose to say, you know, I don't want to be in extreme pain, but as much as possible, I do want to be alert. I want to be able to speak and communicate with my family and have some degree of knowledge about what's going on around me. So that might be something that you put in there, how medicated you want to be.
Okay.
Some people say, knock me out. I don't want to feel anything.
I want to
If
know
I'm
anything.
that near death, I'm ready to just pass on.
Ooh. I'm telling you, this is some serious stuff we're talking about today.
But those are the things that people fight about. You would be surprised. Those are the things that tear families apart.
Yeah.
And
I've
the
seen that.
rifts that we have seen in families, our grief counselors, even, you know, dealing with their children and how, you know, when and how to tell them or talk to them about end of life cause so many problems that sometimes never go away. So whole families have fallen out over simple things, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that has heard or seen it.
I've witnessed it. But wait a minute. You used the word, the G word, grief counselors.
Yes.
So
with Hospice Health, we believe in grief counseling. It's certainly something that our community does not embrace, but it is so helpful in just being able to talk about your feelings, just being able to, just for someone to tell you that it is healthy to grieve. It is okay to grieve. It is expected that you have grief. But also to give you signs of when, you know, maybe that grief needs to go to the next level. Talk to, you know, a counselor.
So you all do grief counseling?
We do grief counseling, and it is provided to all of our patients at all of our patients for anticipatory grief, of course, and to their families once they've passed. There is 13 months of free grief counseling.
Oh, 13 months of free.
Free grief. It's a part of
that's a
the
part of-
service.
okay.
And we say 13 months to get through all of the first, because it is very difficult, you know, that first year.
Okay, now here's some other questions. See, this kind of stuff you need. How involved do you want your loved ones to be? I want my loved ones to do exactly what I've said, even if it makes them a little uncomfortable. To the other point, I want my loved ones to do what brings them peace, even if it goes against what I've said. Now, that's something that you really need to discuss. Because, see, I may have said that this is what I want, because I know I've said it. Now, I've said, look, don't keep me on machines, cut it off. Well, my sister may say, no, I don't want her cut off. You see, so it needs to be set down now. Now, I'm going to tell you, because I did it with my mom. We didn't know, and and then she had to be rushed to critical ICU. And when I got there and I saw my mother, I thought, this is my mother. And the doctor took me aside and said, you don't know, because you do not have a do not resuscitate letter. They will do everything they can to keep you alive. That is, jumping up into your chest and beating you. And so they had. And I thought, oh, I don't want my mama beating in her chest and all that kind of stuff. Well, guess what? Well, she recovered. And one day I went to the hospital and we sat and talked. She says, no, I don't want that anymore. So it brought peace to know
that she didn't want that.
She didn't want that. And she signed the paper that said she didn't. So it took the burden off of the family to try and decide, well, do we want her to live? Or she said no, because one of the statements that she said to me, I'm sitting there in her room and she says, Elizabeth, that's what she called me. Y'all call me Geneva. She said, Elizabeth, one day Jesus is going to come and he's going to take me by my hand and say, Minnie, it's time to leave. I'm going to be so happy. And I said, well, Mama, what about us? And she said, oh, you'll be all right. So you see, I knew, and that's the kind of stuff that you have got to be able to share.
Sure.
It takes the stress off. Well, anything else you want to tell us, Miss Marty?
Yes, I do. So I definitely want to take this opportunity to let people know that whether or not you you decide that hospice care is right for you, I encourage you to download this book and just think about some of the things. This is simply one of the ways that we serve the community. But with hospice care, there are a lot of things that people don't know, or the myths, as we call them, that I'd just like to set straight before I leave. One is that you do not need a referral from a doctor for hospice care.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, you don't.
You don't?
No. You can have a family member to make that call, or you can call for a neighbor. Surely you want to get their permission, but that's all you need for a hospice referral. And then we take it from there and collect all the your medical records and get a doctor to sign off on it. So we take care of all of that. But a lot of people wait for their doctors to say, and a lot of times it never comes.
The doctors never say it.
They never say it. So know that you can make that phone call for yourself. Another thing that is really important, and that is such a myth, is that hospice care is too expensive. The truth is that every one of us have a benefit that's connected to Medicare or Medicaid and even private insurances that pays for hospice care 100%.
Wow. Okay. Now that's some information.
Those are benefits
that's news you can use, folks.
Yes, those are benefits that we always or too often we leave on the table. Hospice benefits, which would include having someone to come to your home, not to stay there, but to come on a regular basis with a CNA who could help you with bathing. If you're caring for a loved one and you have to give them baths and wash their hair and change their sheets, this can take a toll on a caregiver.
Yeah, it does. Caregiving is not easy.
So to have this benefit that is at no additional cost to you, it's paid for through your benefit, why would we want to leave that on the table?
Yeah.
Whether or not hospice health and hospice care is involved or not, that loved one is going to pass. So why not get as much support as you can? Not to mention, it gives that caregiver an opportunity to step back and be a husband, or be a daughter, or a mother, whoever it is, to you, and not have to be the the caregiver at that time.
At that time.
We have volunteers that come in to set. We try hard to give each and every one of our patients a volunteer. And I'll be honest, it's very difficult in our community because we do not have enough volunteers in this community that want to serve. So
if they want to volunteer, let's say somebody's listening to you, they want to volunteer.
if they want to volunteer, all they would need to do is go on our website at hospicehealth.org or call Hospice Health.
Okay.
And there is a link that would lead them right to the volunteer department. But our volunteers do a lot of things. Yes, there are volunteers that sit with patients, and they are greatly needed, again, especially in this community. But we also have a need for volunteers at social events and fundraisers and all those types of things that we do. Clinical work, making phone calls. Oh, we need hairdressers so bad to come out and cut hair or trim and manicure nails. So things like that, we really try to use people's gifts where they present them.
Oh, okay. Okay, now, I don't know if this is permissible, but hey, I'm out here now. If somebody wanted you to come and talk because I heard you say you go to churches and what have you.
Yes.
They can contact you and you can come and talk to perhaps their groups.
Absolutely, I'd love to do that. So you could reach me at mrobinson@hosparus.org, and that's HOSPARUS. mrobinson@hosparus.org.
Right, to say it again so they give them time to write it down. You get it? M.
Robinson at
Hosparus.org.
And that's HOSPARUS.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you need this, cause see, she's got a wealth of information. We just don't have a whole lot of time, and she's got another appointment. But
one more thing
I'm going to ask you if you got something else.
One more thing I'd like to say. I would say this is probably the most important.
Okay, say the best for the last.
The best for the last. So many people think that hospice care or end of life care for that matter, is when someone is actively dying, and that is not the case. Hospice care is qualified at 6 months of life expectancy or less. So a lot of our patients well outlive that.
Oh, they do.
We have patients that well outlive that for years. Statistics now, we can show where people actually with certain ailments anyway live longer with hospice care.
Okay.
Hospice care, to have someone to come in and help you with those types of with staying clean and regulating your medications.
Okay.
All of those, a volunteer to come, maybe do light housekeeping. All of those things really take down the stress levels, and
that caretaker,
and stress can kill you.
Yes, it can.
So if we can come in and help with those things, yes, we do have patients that well outlive 6 months. But the key is to call us sooner. Most of the calls that we receive are when people are actively dying.
Okay.
And that's just out of fear, which we'd already talked about, denial. My loved one's not dying, I'm not dying. And sometimes
many of us
it's
don't know.
It doesn't cost anything for a hospice referral, absolutely nothing. You simply go on our website or give us a call. You can get the number, Hospice Health, and give us a call, and we will come out and do an assessment of your loved one and be able to tell you right then that absolutely they are hospice ready, or it's not quite time. Okay. When it's not quite time, we have another service which is a palliative service. And we're able just to come in and help people who have critical illnesses but are not necessarily hospice ready. And that way we can take care of them. We will still have someone to come out and look at their charts and know what medications, you know, they're needing to adjust. But it's just another opportunity to have that second layer of care, someone there to support you.
That's great, great information.
Absolutely.
Okay, anything else you want to tell us?
I think that'll do it.
That'll do it? I'm going to put her on the spot and tell her that on Sunday, because I'm not going to remember all this. On Sunday, I want her to come to Coffee Cafe and Christ Sunday School class and say just what she said. Because other than me having this, I'm just not going to remember all of that. And that is a wealth of information that we have. Now, just before we leave you, there are just one or two other things that I need to tell you. And that is, in setting your house in order, you need, here's the biggie. You agree with this, I'm sure.
Okay.
Clean your closet out. That sounds so simple, but clean your closets out. That was the hardest job for me after my mother passed, is going in there and cleaning out her closet. That was the breakdown period. It was like, ooh. So, and I'm really talking to myself now. Y'all just listening to me talk to myself, because I really need to go and clean my closet out. If you don't have a will, make a will. If you're old enough to own property, and you're old enough to have a will, and as kind of Marty has already talked about, but we need to have a letter of last instructions. That's the way to put that. In other words, who needs to be the death notification list, location, which she already told us, of important papers. What good does it do if people know and then they don't know where to get the stuff? Where are your insurance paper? Your funeral arrangement detail. Who you want to have your body. Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be buried? If you want to be buried, where do you want to be buried? What do you want done with your ashes? All that kind of folks, I told you, set your house in order, because you are going to die. Now, here's a big one, a legacy will, because the last couple of funerals, well, several funerals I've been to, I've looked at the obituary, and I could tell that the family members, there were some things, and this is nothing wrong, folks, because we don't talk. There was some information that they didn't know about their family member. And so if you want to write your obituary now, do it. Or at least leave some important information. I just fortunately that I knew when my mother was born, where she was born, her parents' name and all that kind of stuff, and that she was married to the late James Nelson and all that. But you need to know that. Here's another biggie. You don't have to do prepayment. Don't do that. That's not necessarily recommended. But you can do some pre-shopping as where you want to be buried, what you might want to be buried in. Some things, do you want the same day visitation? You want the folks to do viewing on one night and then bury the next day or whatever. Even what you want to be buried in. Now, I'm going to tell you right here and right now, I want to be buried in a white suit. A white suit. Did you hear me, Sharon? I want to be buried in a white suit. Don't ask me why, but I know as much as I love U of L, do not put me in no U of L casket. I don't want to go in no U of L casket. All right? See, and some other thing. Now, here's a big one. Let me get ready to sign off because we could go on and on. But because it has happened to me. This is true, Marty. I'm gonna tell you. Just last week, it popped up that I need to wish somebody happy birthday. They've been dead 5 years. We don't know how to close out their Facebook account. And so every year I get reminded, wish so-and-so a happy birthday. I'll tell them when I get there, hey, you need to. But we don't know how to shut down their Facebook account.
That's true.
And it's funny, but there it is. So just get your house in order. Go on the website. Get your conversation starter booklet. You go to the conversationproject.org, and I'll look up hospice, and you will be able to see it there, because I did my lesson. I did some looking up before. Don't forget, this is Wednesday. We do workout Wednesday. See, don't forget, we are going to start the Daniel fast February the 1st. Okay. February the 1st, we're going to start the Daniel fast. Also, to help you, because you know we talked about Think Thin last week. I forgot to tell you that here at the Family Life Center, you can buy one and get the second one for half off, and we'll even throw you a T-shirt in there, okay? Buy one, and the second one will be half off. And then, guess what? You can come and worship at 7 o'clock, and then we got Workout Wednesday, so you can work it out, okay? So guess what? Next week, we will start a new series. It will be, oh, I can't, y'all, I'm having a moment. It's about liberty and justice for all. Liberty and justice for all. We will kind of commemorate Black History Month. Thank you so much for coming and being a part of us. If you all want to, don't forget that's Marty Robinson.
It's M. Robinson.
M. Robinson
at hospice.org.
At hospice.org. If she'll come out there and talk to your groups that you got, I'll come to you, and just don't try to get her Sunday, because she's gonna be with me. Okay. See you next week when we do Hump Day.